Good evening. Welcome to Rastak Zakar Jacob. The accused in the P-Gate scandal, Shankar Mishra, has taken a rather bizarre defense in court. He said today that he was not the one who actually peed on the victim. It was she herself who peed on herself. Now, this is rather bizarre logic, but it's only rubbing insult to injury. Should the accused be given the most stringent of punishment? Should the accused be barred from taking this kind of bizarre defense before this trial begins? Should he be deterred from basically making a mockery of the law? But first, the story so far.
First, he traumatized an elderly co-passenger on a New York to New Delhi Air India flight. Now he's resorting to victim shaming. Sacked banking executive Shankar Mishra made some stunning claims in court. He alleged that the complainant urinated on herself because she suffered from some prostate issues like most Kathak dancers do. He also said that her seat was blocked, so he couldn't have gone to her, and that her seat could only have been approached from behind, so the urine couldn't have reached the front of the seat. Mishra also claimed that passengers sitting behind the woman didn't make any such complaint.
This man gets up from this seat, comes here, and according to her, urinates from here, which reaches her here, not impacting this person here. And this, we are not talking about some ordinary water, that water spilled, so the person sitting or the woman sitting in 9C was was okay with it, and the one in 9A only complained, right? We're talking about urine. Agar ek drop bhi gira hota, if there would have been any contact, she would have been equally enraged.
These allegations come days after Shankar Mishra told a Delhi court that his actions were not driven by sexual desire nor aimed at outraging the complainant's modesty. Even other co-passengers who were on board the flight claimed they saw Mishra having copious amounts of alcohol and the woman looking visibly distraught after the urination incident.
He had about 4 drinks over the period of the lunch, and what happened was he became a little repetitive about asking me the same questions. I went and I alerted one of the stewardess who was serving the alcohol. I said, just keep an eye because he's asking me the same question multiple times.
So can Shankar Mishra be allowed to get away with what he did?
All right, so we're opening up our phone lines. You can ask the question, can the P-Gate accused be allowed to get away? 01204341895 is our number. Call us and talk to us about this absolutely bizarre claim being made by the accused. Parvez Damania is former director of the Kingfisher Airlines. T.R. Kakkar, former Commissioner of Police of Delhi. Ishkaran Bhandari, lawyer. Chandrasekhar Nene, former CIO of Jet Airways. B.S. Sivach is Director General of Aviation Safety India. Parvez Damania, let me start with you first. I mean, this is a bizarre claim. I know the defense lawyers, put the people through the ringer, the witnesses and so on. But to say that, I didn't pee at all, it was the victim who did, that is just pushing even the case of the defense far too much.
I think it's absolutely absurd what he's talking, because he has apologized to her. Yeah. He has met her on the aircraft. The air hostesses were there. There was such a big issue about her being upgraded, her seat being cleaned up, her made to sit in the same seat. Then after that, he gets her clothes washed, her bags washed, her shoes washed. He even pays her a compensation.
Yeah.
So now, if this was true that she urinated herself, which is very embarrassing to talk about also about a 70-year-old woman, why did this whole thing happen? And there was a doctor, an educated person on the flight who gave a complete detailed statement on your channel and a number of other channels that he was absolutely drunk. He had 4 pegs during lunchtime and he was completely drunk and he was repeating his questions himself. So now saying that this thing happened is completely absurd. I think he's just tying himself in knots, making his life more and more complicating.
So, T.R. Kakkar, I know the bail arguments may or may not necessarily have a bearing on when this case goes to trial. But this kind of a defense that, he was not the one who peed, the victim peed on herself, Then what was he paying compensation for? What was he dry cleaning her
What was
clothes
the
and
whole
bags and
story
shoes
for?
for,
What was
T.R.
this whole
Kakkad?
story
Yeah,
for?
exactly.
Why did the air hostess bring him face
Yeah,
to face
let
with the
T.R.
victim?
Kakkad answer that, please. Yes, thank you. Yeah, T.R. Kakkad.
You see, I also heard this bizarre statement that defense taken by the lawyer today. I very much agree with the previous speaker, learned speaker, that he dry washed the clothes, the shoes, and he was he even made later on he paid about 15,000 rupees. This is why he tried to pay, which he did not accept.
Yeah.
Now the question is, if this accepting that this woman, I just for the sake of his this statement that the lawyer has made in this court. Now, what part of the clothes of this respectable lady were wet at the time when complaint was, she had made a complaint or she had raised that issue. Now, if I accept her statement that she peed and she had probably some problem, then it is only certain parts of the clothes alone would get wet.
Correct.
Not anything else.
Correct.
Not anything else at all. So therefore, it is up to the airline hostesses and the other people who were around to see.
Of course.
Now this is more or less become now a circumstantial evidence.
Okay.
He has committed an offence under 294, 354 is okay. But now to prove it is going to be circumstantial, and what he has stated today, I think even the lawyer should feel ashamed.
Okay.
That he
let
has
me ask
make this kind of
Ishwaran.
defense.
You know, the fact that they've come up with such a bizarre defense at the stage of bail sort of beats me, because as I understand, bail is the norm, jail is the exception, and there are only three criteria under which bail can be denied, which is either you're a flight risk, or you have the ability to tamper with evidence, or influence witnesses. Why would the defense counsel advise him to take this kind of a bizarre defense at the stage of bail?
See, you have hit the right word. It's a bizarre defense, because let's see what are the facts in this case. A, the victim immediately complained to the cabin crew. That's not disputed. The cabin crew made and identified the accused. That is not disputed. And the victim identified the accused. That's not doubted. Third aspect, there is no prior history of a fight between them, that somebody is trying to frame somebody. There is no history or no evidence that they had a fight on flight, that somebody is trying to frame somebody. There is an independent witness who says the man was very drunk, and he found as a doctor that he was drunk enough that he took the initiative of informing the stewardess, please don't serve him more alcohol. That person has no grudge against any of the parties. So when there is so much of that, quite apart from the fact that there is a WhatsApp chat, quite apart from the fact that he's offering compensation, quite apart from the fact that he's promising to clean the garments. So with all those circumstances, a legitimate defense can be, a defense counsel has to have a defense, that the seat was placed like this, he could not go there, etc., etc. But to make such scandalizing defenses, and where does this 80% of Kathak dancers suffer from this? Where is the medical record? So all this, if you take a stand like this, that boomerangs, and your chances of bail also become 10 times tougher. Correct. Because the court will reject such an argument not backed by medical evidence and not backed by the facts of the case at all.
Okay, let me get some callers in. We've got a whole bunch of callers. The numbers are flashing on the bottom of your screen. Venkatesh is our first caller. He's calling us from Bengaluru. Venkatesh, good evening. Yes, go ahead, sir. Yes, Mr. Venkatesh. Is he not there? Okay, let's go to our next caller. Mr. Nitin is calling us from Gurgaon. Mr. Nitin.
Yeah, so again, I'm not endorsing what this person did. But again, there are certain facts, and I think we are trying to prove somebody guilty even before the whole investigation has taken place. I mean, so far, nobody has seen this person urinating on this woman. Nobody. Even there are internal report which is submitted by the crew member to as per their internal inquiry, and even they have said that this lady did not complain. It was some co-passenger who forced her to complain. And if you recall, a few days back, Tata Airlines CEO sent an email to all their staff talking about this incident, and he said there is more to this incident what we. And finally, if this woman had to go through and suffer this incident, I just cannot believe that she comes out of plane and does not complain. I mean, she was okay when she came out. So I think you have to give some benefit of doubt to this person. He has already lost his job. So I think we should, instead of just keep on blaming this person, let him give a chance to...
Okay. All right. Thank you for your call, Nitin. Let's get in our next caller. Lakshman is calling us from Gandhinagar in Gujarat. Lakshman, yes, good evening.
Good evening, Zaka. I was just going to refer to the previous caller. I think he's ridiculous when he says that give this guy a chance. No. There was a person who complained that he urinated on her. That's an eyewitness, and that eyewitness is good enough to prosecute this guy. And I am ashamed at the defense lawyer for using such a stupid excuse as if he has never urinated on her. That is ridiculous.
All right, Lakshman, thank you for your call. Sandhya is calling us from Hyderabad. Sandhya, yes, good evening.
Good evening, Zaka. See, the rich in India have a feeling they can get away with anything. This is another golden opportunity for the government to prove that the law is above everything.
Okay, thank you for your call. Murli is calling us from Bengaluru.
Hello, yeah, yes. I am watching this program. What I believe is that we have to handle this in a more both sensitive as well as sensible way, and we should get both of them should get a fair trial, and then we have to take a conclusion, I believe.
All right, Murli, thank you for your call. Anand from Bengaluru. Anand.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Basically, the whoever done this the Air India problem, basically he is the main accused. Basically, he has not. He should have surrendered then and there in the airport that I have done something mistake. Now after 40 days, he is giving a proof and all this thing. That is not a good.
All right, thank you for your call. Let me get Chandrasekhar Nene as well as B.S. Sivach into the conversation. Mr. Nene, one of the callers said, and I think this is going to be one of the things that the defense is going to rest on, that there were no eyewitnesses to this incident. Yes, the complainant did complain to the air hostesses right after the incident, but no one actually saw this happen. So whatever is going to be argued during the trial of this case is going to be based on circumstantial evidence. How much would that weaken or strengthen the accused case, the Shankar Mishra's case?
Two important points here. The timing was midnight by any standards. So for the eyewitnesses to be awake and watching this thing would be minimal. That's point one. Point two, the lawyer's defense, if you see, it actually smells of is a pun here, but it smells of desperation. This is a desperate defense they are trying. They are trying to pin it on the woman herself, and a 70-year-old woman. They are hoping that out of modesty, she will just shut this whole case and forget about it. This is the mentality, the male chauvinist mentality of the lawyer and the person, Shankar Mishra. His WhatsApp are there. His compensation is there. Actually, that ties him to the crime. Why would he pay compensation if the woman did it herself? Does it make any sense?
Correct.
Nobody can sensibly defend this person. He thought he will get away with it, but unfortunately for him, now the whole country is coming down like a pile of bricks on him.
All right. Mr. Sivach, you know, one of the points that the lawyer has made, and she's been saying this last week as well before his arrest, that there was a passenger in the seat 9C, which is the aisle seat, and of course this victim was in the seat 9A, the window seat. The lawyer has been time and again asking about this question about why is it that the passenger who was in between has not said anything? How come he or she was not affected by this act at all? Is that a valid enough defense, in your opinion?
In this particular case, the submission made by the defense counsel are absolutely absurd, bizarre, and that kind of accusation on the victim is totally, sort of reckless, ridiculous. Unfortunately, the defense counsel had to defend his client, and he will go out of the way to defend his client. He must have tutored his client, and the lawyer very well knows that any statement made earlier or any admittance or acceptance of his crime, I'll call it, it will not be sort of influencing the judge unless there is a material evidence in terms of there should have been some kind of videography that somebody from the mobile would have taken. His statement must have been recorded. The statement of the co-passenger must have been recorded. So none of these things were done because of this lack of evidence. Now this lawyer is very well placed. He knows that evidence will not be accepted in the court.
Okay.
It will not be admitted in the court.
Parvez Damania wanted to make a point. Yeah, Parvez Damania,
Zaka,
yeah.
I just want to point out to you that a lot of business class seating arrangements are very different.
Okay.
If you remember right, the Jet Air business class was an angular business class seating arrangements. So almost all seats have a certain way of access to the aisle. So one has to see what kind of seating arrangement, what this had. Aircrafts see, it's not like economy class, that's one standard. So sometimes all seats have access to aisle in the business class and they're at an angle. So it doesn't mean 100% the seat she was in, because it was 9A, there was no access to it. There must have been an access to it. See, nobody can bring the story to this level. Let's say, for argument's sake, the lady had a problem or a prostate problem. Why would she come out in the open and speak about it and talk about it just for the washroom and change and come? But this no
and what was he, the point that you made in your first
class.
answer, what was he paying then for? What was he paying for the dry cleaning of the clothes? Exactly.
Why would she make an issue? She doesn't know this man.
Exactly.
She doesn't have any grudge to bear with him. Why would she make an issue? She would just
all right. I've got a piece of breaking news also coming in.
Issue.
I've got callers on the line. Ishkaran also wants to make a point. Ishkaran, quickly, and then I'll go to the callers. Yeah.
That's why I started by saying that there is no enmity between the victim and the accused. But as a defense counsel, argument can be made in court that he didn't have access to the seat. That's a legitimate argument in court because that has to be proven by facts of the case. And the judge has also asked for the seating of the airline. So I am just saying that that's a logical argument. But saying that the woman peed, because the defense counsel has to have some defense, he will try to raise some defense, which is the law of the land.
No, but you are saying if there is a passenger in 9C, which is the aisle seat, then
I am not saying that.
No, I'm saying I'm saying if there is, and the lawyer is convinced there was a passenger at 9C, then his or her testimony becomes absolutely critical in this case.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not also the structuring of the seats. We don't know what were the seats, what was the airline, how the seats were placed in the business class. But those are all legitimate defenses in court. But saying the woman peed on herself, etc., once you have WhatsApp chats, that's bizarre and that will likely to boomerang on the accused.
Okay, let me get in some more callers. Karthik is calling us from Coimbatore. Karthik, yes, go ahead, sir.
Hello, Zaka. See, the story is getting murkier day by day. The best thing is, when they can ban smoking on long-haul flights, why not alcohol? The other thing is, sometimes, when passengers get on flight, they are all drunk already. So there should be at least a breath test. And they have to put an end to this nonsense of giving alcohol on flight.
Okay, thank you for your call. Krishna is calling us from Hyderabad. Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. There are 4 parties involved in the whole case. The accused, the complainant, the airlines, and the last is Wells Fargo who employed him. The first point we have to see is if this fellow has come with this fantastic argument, how is that the Wells Fargo has so immediately gone into the job and terminated his services? Should we understand that they didn't conduct any primary inquiry to shun the fellow, their own employee, they don't come to the defense?
Okay.
I also worked in the public sector as a general manager. I know how we function. We try to protect the employee if there is a truth. Otherwise, we'll just serve him.
Okay.
So that is first part. Second part, to attempt to prove in a court of law in such cases exactly beyond reasonable doubt, it will be extremely Herculean task. That's what these defense lawyers are catching on by putting bizarre arguments.
All right, Krishna, thank you for your call. Ravi is calling us from Bangalore. Ravi.
Yeah, hi Zaka.
Hi.
I completely agree with the previous speaker. I mean, if you take these to the courts, there'll all be some irrational arguments which they say, where is 9A, where is 9B, where is 9C, is there accessibility, and all these nonsense questions will come up. I know. As a lawyer, Ishkaran must be putting as a valid defense, but this is turning murkier day by day, and there's a lot of U-turns, like you said, that he first absconded, then he pleaded in front of that lady, and then he tried to give money, and then all these things. There are a lot of things why he did.
Okay, Ravi, thank you for your call. Ranjit from Mao. Ranjit.
Hello, Zaka.
Yes. Go ahead. Yes.
Zaka, the basic thing is women don't have a prostate gland. Prostate gland is only with men. So what is this ridiculous defense?
Okay, Ranjit, thank you for your call and for pointing out that important detail. But let me also get this piece of breaking news going because then we can get back to our guests. This is, of course, again in connection with this case. The complainant has now rebutted Shankar Mishra's claim. This is the quote from the lawyer of the complainant. It's been brought to our knowledge that defamatory allegations are being made on part of the accused. Allegations are completely false. Their allegations are defamatory and concocted, and it is in sharp contrast to the events as they unfolded. Also, more information coming in. Sources telling CNN News 18 that Shankar Mishra's legal team wants to question one of the eyewitnesses and the co-passenger, Shugata Bhattacharjee. You heard Shugata Bhattacharjee talking about this man he believes had one drink too many. He claims that Mishra already, by the time the flight got off, was already drunk. He was asking the same question over and over again. Mishra's legal team is asking, why isn't the media asking how many drinks Shugata had? Well, the simple answer to that is that he did not misbehave after how many ever drinks he had. Nonetheless, let me go back to our guests, and I want to go back to Mr. Nene and ask this question. One of the callers also said, we should ban alcohol on flights. Do you believe that that's a solution?
No, I don't believe that, because this kind of cases are not one too many. Because one of the people misbehaves, that doesn't mean everybody should be punished. But I have one more important point to make here. When this case happened, if this argument had come that the woman did it herself, it could have been a very easy thing for a pathologist to find out who this urine belonged to. These guys waited for almost 18 days. Now there is no evidence. You can't even test that thing. It is all gone beyond the curtain. So now they can actually bring this kind of argument, because now you can't test an 18 days old sample even if you had that with you. So this is a very, very foxy kind of defense which is they are playing here. And a very small addition, that females don't have prostate gland, but there is a glandular thing on their uterus which is called prostate in some medical journals.
All right, Nene, thank you for that. Let me go back to Mr. Sivach as well. I'm also concerned about the role of the DGCA here. I'm concerned about the role of the airline. As per the new rules, the CAA rules, the Carriage by Air Amendment Rules of 2018, there are 3 levels of unruly passengers who can be dealt with. A ban can range from 3 months to 2 years. It's a 3-tier system of response to unruly behavior. The first tier being verbal warnings, second level being offloading the passenger, and the third, of course, this ban. And this ban can be anywhere between 3 months to 2 years. Shankar Mishra, as of now, is only serving a 30-day ban, after which he is free to fly any airline, including Air India.
Zaka, can I say something? This is the initial ban that is put by the airline. Now there will be a DGCA investigation, and the DGCA will ultimately decide how long he has got to be on the no-fly list. So it could be a ban for a very long time. The immediate thing is a 30-day ban. Another thing I just want to point out, that one caller was saying that we should ban alcohol. That is not possible because Air India, like all other international carriers, has to compete in the international market. So our airline cannot stop serving alcohol, but it is up to the crew to use their judgment and common sense and see where the passenger is going with his alcohol. Another thing
so let me ask Mr. Sivach. The problem is that I have seen this, particularly in economy class, on a Bangkok-Delhi flight, even a Dubai-Delhi flight. There are passengers who misbehave. There are passengers who keep asking stewardesses for alcohol, almost like they've never had a drop of alcohol in their lives. So, yes, there is a problem. particularly in some of these sectors. I don't know about New York, Delhi, but certainly I've seen this in Bangkok, Delhi, as well as in Dubai, Delhi, that somehow passengers just feel like it's their birthright to ask for how much ever alcohol. Mr. Sivach. Mr. B.S. Sivach, can you hear me?
You were asking
Yeah, to you, yeah.
About the DGC. You see, first of all, the fault lies with the airline, the flight crew. Because, these airlines are very conscious, anybody will be conscious of their reputation.
Correct.
So they wanted to make sure that let's hush it up so that our reputation is not spoiled. They didn't realize that it will blow out of proportion once media gets a sniff of it. So that they never realize. So they try to make some kind of, understanding, mutual agreement between the victim and the offender that sorted out, and they provided some kind of, relief in terms of washing the seat, was giving her the change of clothing, etc. So that after that, everything was forgotten. They thought that things are over. It has been sorted out.
No, that is not how airlines are supposed to respond. Airlines are supposed to file a report. They're supposed to file every incident that happens. Yes.
Absolutely. And airline also maybe did not report to DGCA in time.
Yes.
If the DGCA does not get report, obviously DGCA cannot take any action.
Okay. Let me ask Mr. Kakkad. No, Mr. Kakkad, the question is also asked, a lot of callers have been asking this question. What if something like, if not even something like this, an unruly passenger behaves in a bad fashion with let's say, person X or Y? What can that person do upon landing? Let's say even the airline crew is saying, Madam, maaf kar do, chhod do, kyun isko bada bana rahe ho, and all that. What can the said passenger do upon landing? There is CISF that is guarding all our airports. How can someone make a formal complaint even if the airline is not forthcoming?
Look, when you fly in an Indian registered plane and you commit any sort of offense on that, maybe small little perjury, whatever is there, you committing offense on the land, in India. Now, let me take this case. There was some sort of misbehavior on part of this fellow. Altercation may have taken place. The airlines probably intervened and they tried to sort it out. Perfectly all right. But it was incumbent on the airline staff to come and report to the police station on landing at the airport to say that, look, this is what has happened and this is our report. Now, after that, it depends on the victim to say that, all right, this is the complaint with you, this is what has happened with me, I would like to lodge a complaint with you.
Okay.
So this is how exactly the things will proceed. And thereafter the police takes up and investigates whatever is there.
All right. I'll give Ishkaran the final word. People have been arguing about this jurisdiction angle. I don't know how much it applies in this case. This was a flight from New York to Delhi. Presumably this happened right after takeoff, within an hour or so. Does the issue of jurisdiction arise?
The IPC is very clear. If a vehicle is registered in India, a ship or an airline or an aircraft, which Air India presumably is, India will have jurisdiction. So I do not see this argument flying. The second aspect, we must pay attention on the pathetic behavior of the airline as well as the pilot, because the least that was expected, and it's come out that she wanted a seat, you should have upgraded her to a first class. Away from that, you gave her a small seat. So all that also needs to be gone in for safety of passengers. That was the basic minimum. Pilots, sometimes their friends, they upgrade them. And here a person is suffering such a traumatic experience and you are unwilling to upgrade that person. They also must be held accountable to a certain extent.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. And to that extent, Air India has grounded the pilots as well as some of the cabin crew. So that is a welcome step forward. Why did it take them a month and a half? And the fact that it came out in the media, in the public domain, and thereafter they took action, that is something worth asking as well. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much to all our guests. Like I said, maybe Shankar Mishra was told by his lawyers to take this defense, but this defense, I don't see any way how this will help Shankar Mishra in court. We'll see how this story progresses, because, mind you, how this case progresses will have a bearing on future cases as well, dealing with unruly passengers on flights. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, we'll tell you why some folks within the Lingayat community in Karnataka are once again protesting against the Bommai government there, this time right outside the Chief Minister's residence in his home district. Details right on the other side.